Hello everyone and welcome. It's Shanna. So today I'm going to be working with this Mente paper. It is absolutely gorgeous, and we are going to make a simple pocket card with just some paper and some glue or some tape runner, and it's going to be very simple. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut at 4 inches and 10 and a half. Now I'm giving you the measurement. I actually cut it wrong and I'll fix it. But if you cut at 4 inches and 10 and a half, you'll have the right size paper for this project. This is where I'm just cutting the little name of the paper off, and you can see it's actually too long. I'm going to use that purple pattern paper as the color scheme for my card, and you can see there's a scene on the back. If you scored at 1.5 and at 5 1/4, you'll have the right scores. And I flip it over, and I actually did not need to flip it. So if you have pattern paper that is doesn't have a scene on it, you won't have to add additional paper like I will have to add, as you see. But so what I'm going to do is just fold it on my score line there, and then I'm going to bend back this piece here, and this is going to be my flap. And I got a seam on there, but this part folds down nicely and it makes a beautiful edge. But you can see I've got all that other seam behind there, and I am going to choose to cover it up. Now this is where I realized I cut it too short or too long, and I went back and cut it down. And I've just got an A2 size panel, Spellbinders. I want to say Amethyst is the name of this paper, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it, deciding what I'm going to do. If you have an A2 size panel and you cut it at 4 inches and then 5 1/4, you're going to have a nice little edge around there. Now I did go off camera and cut another panel with this lighter purple, and I'm just going to insert it on the inside. So I'm going to have 2 layers there. Now this is where if you don't use a scene on your paper, you won't have to do this. But because I used a scene, I want to cover it up. I suppose I could have left the scene there, but it was upside down. And it's that way because I wanted to fold this particular design down for my little flap. So I've got it all the way that I want it, and I'm going to add a ribbon to it. And so I'm just going to run a strip of glue down the back, and then I will add this ribbon to it. And I've got glue problems. I've got to get some glue ordered. This is just some glue that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to run a bead of glue and then lay my ribbon down on here. And I'm making sure I get it exactly in half. And then we will glue this down. And I'm getting plenty of glue on there because it has a pretty big hole in it. And then I'm just going to lay it down to where I have a nice little edge all the way around there. And I probably could have pushed it up toward the top a little bit, but it'll be fine. So now we've got our little flap, and this is how I'm going to create my pocket. So I'm going to bring in some of the double-sided tear tape, and I'll just line the edges of this with the double-sided tear tape. And we'll tear it off. And then I'll bring in my bone folder as I normally do and just press down on my, well, maybe not. I might use my finger. Actually, I do bring in my bone folder. I'm looking for it now because I've kind of got a mess. You can see off to the side of my desk there, I've got some pieces that I've been working with. And I'll use my pick tool to just pull that release paper off. And then this is how we're going to just create a very, very simple pocket card. And I'm using the tear tape just so I won't have a gluey mess. And then just pressing it down real well. And then we'll bring our ribbon, and I'll struggle with tying this bow. I keep trying, and I'm not going to get it tight enough. And I'll just kind of struggle with it for a minute. And then I realize it's not tight enough. It's kind of gapping. And I'm like, oh, I got to get it tighter. Now, how am I going to do this? I was thinking, well, my husband's still asleep. I could have him put his finger in there and hold it down. And then I decide, hey, I've got another set of hands. I'll bring in my tweezers. So I'm just pulling it tight and then clipping it with my tweezers and then using my hands to do the ribbon. And that'll work. And I'll still fuss with it because I'm trying to get the bow to lay just right. And I'll just keep fussing with it and get it to where it's somewhere that I think it's going to work. And now we've basically got a simple pocket. And I think it's beautiful, very elegant. I love the Mente papers. You've seen me use this in some of my other videos, but I'm going to keep using it until I use it up. So I've got my pocket, and excuse me. Now I'm going to create my my little insert for my pocket, and I'm choosing this particular 3-inch by 4-inch card, and this is part of the Mente because it's got a clock on there, and this is my craft roulette card, and I needed an element that represented Dolly Parton, and so I thought the clock with the 9 to 5 would represent the movie that Dolly did. So the elements for this particular card are an A2. You have to have a pocket. You need your donut store colors, and then a 9 to 5 or a Dolly Parton element. So our local Jack's has a purple color scheme, so I chose the purple. And of course, this is an A2 card. I've got a pocket, and I have got my ode to Dolly Parton with my 9 to 5 clock there. And I think I was able to meet those parameters and not come up with kind of a strange card. So I think this is beautiful, and I'm loving how it's coming together. And I'm going to fuss with that bow a little bit more. And then I'm going to bring in another strip so I can create a gift card pocket on this pull-out. So I'm just going to get another, I did a 1.5 inch by 3 strip here. And I was going to put the same pattern that I had on the front. Then when I flipped it over, I thought, oh, that's pretty with the bird and the flowers. So I'm actually going to show that on there. And I'm going to use my tear tape again because I don't want to risk getting glue and then it gluing to the inside of my pocket. I should have put a strip along the bottom, and I do that afterward, but I wasn't thinking about it at the time. I just put it on both sides. So I'm going to get my pick tool and just pull the release paper off the 2 sides. And again, you should have put it at the bottom as well. And I will do that off camera. And then I'll just lay this down on my little insert. And I want to get it lined up well. So I'm going to lift it up and push it to where it lines up really well. And then I'm going to grab a craft roulette business card, since this is my craft roulette card, and shove it in there just for example purposes. And I think it looks really, really pretty. And then I need some finishing elements, and I'm just kind of giving it a look over to try and decide what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to bring in my Lilac Shimmer Scout, the newest machine from Spellbinders, and I'm going to bring in the little 4U die that came with it, and I'm going to grab some of that purple cardstock from Spellbinders that I used for the layer, and I'm just going to die cut this 4U floral element out. I got to get it lined up right, and then we'll just run it through there real quick. And then we're just going to pop out all the little pieces. And I think this will look really nice on there. I was glad I thought of it. It was just laying on the side of my desk, and I thought, oh, that'd be the perfect. I do need a birthday card in which I'm giving a gift card, so this will be perfect for that. And so I'll just clean up my mess here. And then there's additional dies here that you can adorn your flower with, and some leaves. And so I'm going to grab some scrap cardstock that I've got. I've got a lavender here, and I'm going to use that for the flowers. And then I'm going to bring in some green peridot from Spellbinders and get the leaves on it. And we'll just die cut these out. And I got to get them lined up. I'm kind of fussing with my plates here. And then we'll die cut these out. And then we'll be able to layer everything up, and we'll have our sentiment, and I think it'll look really nice. So I've got the little lilac flowers that I'm going to layer on top of the amethyst flowers on my sentiment, and just popping out my leaves and putting my little sentiments back on their magnetic sheet. And now we'll just bring in some glue and get these laid down, and it's going to come together really pretty. I was really pleased with this card. Sometimes the parameters on Craft Roulette, it seems like I wind up making something wonky, but I've begun to get a little bit more liberal with the parameters and kind of broaden my thinking so I can tie it in, just like using a clock for the 9 to 5. I didn't have to do anything strange with it to represent Dolly. So I'm just making sure I get these lined up really well on here. And then I'm going to flip it over and put some glue on each of my flowers, and then just attach my leaf to each one of those so that when I flip it over, my leaf is poking out around my flowers. And we are getting a good rain this morning. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but we're getting a good heavy rain and a little rumbling. Just lining those leaves up. And now this sentiment is pretty fine, so I'm just kind of eyeballing where I want it. I'm going to put some glue on the flower elements, and then I'm going to just grab a piece of sticky note that I have here, and I dab some glue on there, and I'm just going to brush it across there very lightly so that I don't have a big mess with my glue, and then I'll lay it down on my card base and just press it down. And then I've decided there is a circle that you can die cut out the center of the flowers that's included with that, but I'm just going to grab some embellishments and bring them in and use them on my flower centers. I started out looking for like a dark purple, and then I decided I've got these gold ones that I haven't used from Pink and Maine, and there is kind of a hint of gold in the paper, or a goldish looking color. And so I'm going to use the gold ones. And I'm just bringing in that scrap of paper where I have some glue on there, and adding some glue to the tips of the sentiment that didn't glue down. And then I decided I wanted to put a little bit of glue on there, so make sure my embellishments don't fall off. And then I'll add a couple more. Another small one to the small floral element, and then I'm going to do the medium size to that medium floral on there. And I think this is a beautiful card. I was really pleased with it. I like the little pocket and how easy it is to create, not needing any dies to make a pocket card. So I'm going to mess with that bow a little bit, get it just like I want it, and I think I've got a wonderful card. So I hope you like it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.